From south of Houston, Texas, on beautiful Clear Lake, ESPN, the Total Sports Network, presents the world's fastest race boats, the unlimited hydroplanes. Today, it's the Budweiser World Championship. Brought to you by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Hendrick along with Sam Cole. We're about 32 miles south of Houston, Texas, on beautiful Clear Lake for the Budweiser World Championship, the fastest race boats in the world. And I'm here to tell you, you're going to see plenty of fast action because the water track is fast today. We have the World Championship in this particular race up for grabs. And in the case of Chip Hanauer and the Atlas Van Line, Sam Cole, just a few points will clinch them the National High Point Championship.
That's right, a fifth-place finish by Chip Hanauer in our first heat of competition here today would give him his first National High Point Championship as a driver, but it would be the fifth High Point Championship for the Atlas Van Lines Corporation.
And, of course, the Miss Budweiser with Bernie Little's team is the defending world champion, winning in Acapulco last year, and they'd like to repeat.
That's right, it will be the rubber match, you know. In 1980, Bill Muncie and the Atlas Van Lines won the World Championship in Seattle, Washington. Last year, it was the Miss Budweiser, Dean Chenoweth, winning the World Championship in Acapulco, Mexico. But we've got three different winners of races this year. All three of them won on ESPN, by the way, and it's going to be one heck of a boat race here today.
As we said, the track is fast, the boats are ready, the fastest race boats in the world, speeds of about 180 mile an hour in the straightaways, and we'll have the first heat of action for you in just a moment. Letting the pack down now into corner number 3 to come around. It's going to be the Gilmore Special with Steve Reynolds, followed by the Rick Unite with Terry Turner. Also, we have Louis on the Lake with John Petty out of Madison, Indiana, followed up there by who? We've got the Tempest, and we've got the Executone. So they're all coming up now as they come down to the start of this race, which is about 8 seconds away. In the inside, and now it's Rick Unite wants the inside. It's going to be Executone in lane number 2, and the third lane coming fast is the Gilmore Special. He'll lead him across the field. Oh, a beautiful start on Clear Lake, Texas. Sam Cole as they dive down to corner number 1. It is Steve Reynolds in the Gilmore Special as they come into corner number 1, followed by the Tempest, the Rick Unite. They're all up in there as we see a sea of rooster tails. First out of it would be on top at the apex between corners number 1 and 2. It is Steve Reynolds. Whoa, a big flame came out of Steve Reynolds' engine. A big flash of flame. He may be slowing down and may have a problem. Put your field glass on him, Sam. What do you see?
Jim, I think what it was nitrous oxide. Steve got on it just a little bit early, got the boat going. He's having water problems in and out of there as they go up the backstretch, but he's got a whale of water right now as Jack Schaefer in the Tempest is coming up on his outside.
As they come down the straightaway, halfway through the first lap, in the rooster tail hidden right there, you'll see the number 2 boat every once in a while pop right out. But it's Steve Reynolds in the Gilmore Special by about 2 boat lengths, hidden in his rooster tail that you can't see. That spray of water is the number 2 boat. As they come around corners number 3 and 4, it'll be evident how close those boats really are. Hugging on the buoy line, hanging on the hook on that skid fin is Steve Reynolds from Seattle, Washington. Kirkland, Washington to be exact. Look at the puff of nitrous. He's trying to overload and he's really smoking. He starts to slow down now. He almost killed the engine. He's going to get a challenge by the Tempest and also a challenge by Rick Unite. And now the Tempest takes over on the outside and is the lead boat. The Tempest, followed by Rick Unite, the Executone, Louis 4-star, and now restarting, our lead boat is now all the way back to last place. What do you think of that, Sam? I think he really snuffed it out.
Jim, he's having a lot of trouble keeping the engine going. It looks like it's nitrous oxide. The boat's running very, very rich as he went down through there. As we go through there, though, Jack Schaefer and Chuck Hickling's Tempest has got everything going his way, and he's got Terry Turner right on his outside hip pocket.
All right now it's Jack Schaefer Jr., whose father was a pioneer in unlimited powerboat racing. Takes his Tempest from Seattle, Washington, off of corner number 2 over by the South Harbor Shore, or South Shore Harbor, I should say, exit, and comes down the back chute. And he looks like he's riding pretty good in Chuck Hickley's boat. He has now opened up about a 9 boat length lead, and we have them 1, 2, 3, about 3 seconds apart between first and third place as they come down here to complete lap number 2. In the corner number 3, setting up is Jack Schaefer Jr. in the Tempest out of Seattle. Hugs the buoy line, now cocks it, hangs it on the hook. You see the spray of water coming off the left sponson. That's where the skid fin that hangs down holds him in tight. If he loses that, he spins out, and he comes toward our ESPN cameras now to complete lap number 2 with a spray of water as Jack Schaefer Jr., who hails from Southern California. He's the leader after 2. Here comes Louis Four-Star. John Petty, he is second. Our leader goes up the back, heading for corner number 2 right now. Lap number 1, Sam, wasn't very fast.
No, it wasn't. It was 97.72 miles an hour. On our backstretch over there, Jim, as we watch our leader, Jack Schaefer, get going, Steve Reynolds, the Gilmore Special, died, and now he's got that boat running again. But our leader, Jack Schaefer, out of Santa Ana, California, he's got everything going his way in Chuck Hickling's boat that was built in his home out in Seattle, Washington, and Bothell. It was built there in his house.
As we come down now to complete lap number 3, Jack Schaefer now maintains about a good 9 to 10 second lead over the second place boat, the Rick Knight Chevy Special, as he comes now off of corner number 4 to complete lap number 3. No, this is our leader. Was Steve Reynolds in the Gilmore Special. Our leader right now is coming down off of the apex in corners number 3 and 4 to come around and complete lap number 3. Swinging it way wide, and Jack Schaefer's going to have a challenge. Here he comes now as he completes lap number 3. On the outside, John Petty keeps Louis Four-Star up there.
That lap was 103.926 miles an hour, Jim, for Jack Schaefer in the Tempest.
Earlier today, Sam Cole, I understand you had a chance to talk to Jack Schaefer about his strategy and about this race.
Each time we're on ESPN, Jack Schaefer in the Tempest puts on a good show out there. It's not the fastest boat in town, but it sure seems to be reliable.
It is pretty consistent, Sam. We've had problems testing this weekend, but the guys think they really got it working out, and for once I think our nitrous system's going to work, so maybe we'll have a pretty good race.
Well, how's that affect Jack Schaefer mentally? You know you don't have the fastest boat out there, but it just seems as if you try to get everything out of it you can.
Well, of course, with this team, you know, I don't have a lot of pressure on me, and I'm having a lot of fun driving it, so they're good, fun people to race with.
As they come down now with a half a lap to go, what a challenge it's going to be. Right now it's going to be a drag race. Jack Schaefer Jr. is your leader there in our tight shop, and right on his hip, coming up quick, is the number 2 boat, which is the Louis Four-Star, driven by John Petty. This is it. The checker flag is waiting as Jack Schaefer takes the Tempest out wide. Right on his hip is Louis Four-Star, and I don't think he's going to make it. I think it will be Jack Schaefer, but it's going to be only a couple of seconds apart. 1, 2, 3, and here comes your leader as the checker flag is over. But look out, one of them slowing down. It's going to be Executone. The Executone just took the checker flag, came off in the inside, and beat the Tempest with Jack Schaefer Jr. by a fraction of a second, and Schaefer was not too happy. What was he doing? Thumbs down.
No, Jim, he was hitting on the cowling cockpit. I don't know if he was having engine problems. He had come out of that turn the last 2 or 3 times very slowly. He was shaking his fist, it seemed, at John Petty. The last time around, Petty had shaken his fist at Jack Schaefer. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens here, but that was a very exciting finish. George Johnson set in last place the entire heat, or in third, I should say, and snuck by at the wire for the win for the Executone people.
So run it down, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, our winner in that heat will be the Executone, driven by George Johnson. Second place will go to Louis on the Lake, driven by John Petty. In third, it's the Tempest and Jack Schaefer Jr. And our fourth place boat, the Gilmore Special, driven by Steve Reynolds.
And, of course, Steve Reynolds. Steve Reynolds now comes by, and he'll take that fourth place, as you said. There's the end of the race. Why don't you describe it, Sam?
Jim, this is quite a finish here. George Johnson, who was in third place, sneaks by the finish line here right now as our winner, John Petty, in the Louis on the Lake. There you see our second place boat, but the winner, George Johnson, who went into that final turn in third place. He wins it all.
I thought it was going to be a drag race when I saw them come off of corner number 2 at the South Harbor area in that turn, and I knew it was going to be a battle to this finish line. You could just see it developing. ESPN's extensive coverage of Auto Racing 82 includes many NASCAR, USAC, and dirt events. You'll see racing's big names, including Richard Petty, Cale Yarbrough, and Bobby Allison in NASCAR competitions. As for USAC, ESPN has both stock car and dirt car events coming up featuring top drivers Joe Ruttman, Dean Roper, Joe Wallace, and Tom Bigelow. ESPN also has modified stock car races with several dirt events, including the Super National. Stay tuned to ESPN for the best in Auto Racing 82. And stay tuned for more coverage of the Budweiser World Cup here at Clear Lake, Texas after this. Jim Hendrick along with Sam Cole back here at Clear Lake, Texas. The boats are ready to go for the next heat, but before we go to the course, look at this beautiful trophy that Fred Alder, our commissioner, is holding. Fred, why the weird design? Let the people know.
Of course, NASA, the Lyndon P. Johnson Space Center, is based in Clear Lake, Texas, and this is the first race in Clear Lake. So it's the symbolic thing that the space shuttle flight and everything, and these trophies are certainly something that every owner is looking forward to taking home.
Okay, Sam, now let's run down the starting field, if you will.
Right you are, Jim Hendrick. We're 30 seconds away from the start of this heat, and in it is the inside. It's the Atlas Van Lines, and Chip Hanauer coming up by him, Jim Kropfeld, the Miss Budweiser, Ron Armstrong in the Bob Patterson Special, Scott Pearson, the Budweiser Light. Way late will be the Rich Plan Food Service, and not making the start with his gearbox broken is Tom Deed and the Squire Shop.
As they come down now, leading on the inside, it's going to be there's Budweiser with Jim Kropfeld on the inside. Now diving underneath his tail and coming on the inside to snake him on the left is the Atlas Van Lines with Chip Hanauer, and they're off to the racetrack. At the last minute, Chip Hanauer dove under the rooster tail of Jim Kropfeld, and now on the inside is the Atlas Van Lines of the Blue Blasters. They come down toward corner number 1. In lane 1, it is the Atlas Van Lines. Lane 2, Miss Budweiser. The Budweiser Light in lane 3, and the Bob Patterson Special on the far outside in lane number 4, as they're now at the apex of leaders. Miss Budweiser with Jim Kropfeld takes over the lead as they come off of corner number 2. In lane number 2, Kropfeld gets a good start in Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser. He, of course, is the defending world champion, is the Budweiser. And now it's a drag race down that back chute. As on the inside comes Chip Hanauer in the rooster tail of Miss Budweiser. There are both your votes. That is only about 1 second difference as they come down the corner number 3. Kropfeld will take it on the outside and take it hot. Diving in underneath him is Chip Hanauer, the Blue Blaster, almost side by side. We widen out our shot, we'll see that. Look at that shot. They're almost side by side, coming off of corner number 4 to complete lap number 1. It's Budweiser by about a half a boat length. Budweiser, it is still a drag chute as they come down toward the pit area. Down into corner number 1, almost side by side. In lane number 1, on the right side, is the Blue Blaster. And now he seems to take the lead over Kropfeld and Miss Budweiser as they come almost side by side again through that turn. Third place is the Budweiser Light. Fourth place is the Bob Patterson Special U80. And here they come, our leaders. Look at that shot. Sam Cole, that is racing. Give us a speed.
Yeah, 127.119 miles an hour for rookie Jim Kropfeld. Jim, Chip Hanauer barely spun the Atlas Van Lines there, hooked the boat a little bit and got off of it, but he's right back in it as he chases our leader, Jim Kropfeld, up the backstretch.
And I'll tell you one thing, Sam, as you look at it now, you can see the Atlas Van Lines as he almost spun it out. He's going to have to catch up on some ground. He has lost about 4 boat lengths in that little mishap, but he's recovered, and now they come around the complete lap number 2 with 3 more laps to go. Hanging it on the hook is our leader right there, the Miss Budweiser. Looks like he's bubbling. No, it's going to be the Rich Plan Madison is bubbling now and starting up, and now the boats will have to lap him, and it'll be Kropfeld, and now going down in the water. Going down as number 2 boat. The Atlas Van Lines is slowing way down when our leader, the Miss Budweiser, goes up towards corner number 1 for the 3rd time here on lap number 3. And as we look back to our corner number 4, our second place boat is having a problem. There it is, the Atlas Van Lines, and he is blowing something. Sam, what do you think?
It could be a blower the way he's running there. He's running very, very slowly as he goes down here. Chip Hanauer, all he had to do was finish this heat to lock up the national championship. And you know, we talked to him about these gremlins and everything that can go wrong when victory is so near. Hanauer's lost something. He's running very, very slowly. Jim, it could be a front end the way the boat is running right now.
Our Budweiser's the leader right now, coming off of corner number 4 at the South Shore Harbor. Earlier today, I believe, Sam, you had a chance to talk to the rookie, the driver of Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser, Jim Kropfeld.
What about Jim Kropfeld? You've come in with just 2 races to go in the season. San Diego had to be a learning experience. I know there's going to be learning here. Is that going to affect you once you get into the race?
It will a little bit. I don't know how the other drivers drive and how they like to start, mainly because I didn't get to do very much running at San Diego at all. So I got the boat pretty well felt out. I pretty well got the course felt out, but now I have to kind of see what the other drivers are going to do and learn what they like to do and then try to counteract their moves.
You mentioned that word start. In hydroplane racing, more than any other sport, it's a very individualistic thing. This is a very different type of race course, Jim. What's your strategy going to be to get to that line when the clock strikes 0?
Well, we decided after talking it over in this first heat that with the problems, we're down to 2 engines, so we're going to kind of play it by ear after I get out there. If the other guys want to really fight for the inside and want to go up there early, I'm going to lay back and come around the outside and try to get a little flying start. But if everybody goes up in the hole early, I'll lay back and try to grab the inside.
Jim Kropfeld, a rookie at the age 42, but he's an experienced driver, but not in the Unlimiteds. In this class, he's a rookie and doing very well here now in his second baptismal fire in the Budweiser World Cup as he comes down the back chute now, and the checker flag is waiting. Budweiser Light, his sister ship with Scott Pierce, is currently second, while the Patterson Special U80, I believe, is 3rd place, and no, Atlas Van Lines moved up to 3rd place now, and as he's restarted since his last troubles in his running, the U80 is now 4th, and the Rich Plant Food Service is 5th, and here comes our winner, in close, Jim Kropfeld, Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser, the winner of the first heat today, BC. Miss Budweiser with Jim Kropfeld from Cincinnati, Ohio. As our second place boat is coming around now, that'll be the Budweiser Light with Scott Pierce. You'll get 300 points. Why don't you run down the points as they will finish this way, Sam?
Okay, Jim, our winner is going to be the Miss Budweiser, driven by Jim Kropfeld. He'll receive 400 points. Second place will be the Budweiser Light, driven by Scott Pierce with 300 points. In 3rd place, it'll be the Atlas Van Lines and Chip Hanauer with 225. 4th will go to the U80. That's the Bob Patterson Special, driven by Ron Armstrong. They'll get 169 points. And our 5th place finisher will be the Rich Plant Food Service, driven by Ron Snyder.
And by virtue of a 3rd place finish, he clinches the National High Point Championship for the boat Atlas Van Lines and the driver Chip Hanauer. And so they will not be confused, the World Championship will be decided on this one race today. We'll have more from Clear Lake, Texas on Budweiser World Cup 1982 after this timeout. Jim Hendrick along with Sam Cole here at heat number 3. Sam, run down the field if you will.
Jim, on the inside, we've got Terry Turner in the Rick Gunite. Lane 2, Jack Schaefer, the Tempest. Lane 3, George Johnson, the Executone. Lane 4, John Petty in the Louis 4-star, and in lane 5, Steve Reynolds in the Gilmore Special.
And Brendan Jones has taken the KYYX back to the pit area with some problems, and it's going to be Steve Reynolds in the Gilmore Special on top as they start this race. It's the Gilmore, the Tempest, the Rick Gunite, the Executone, and the Louis 4-star Special in that order as they cross the starting line, diving down the corner number 1 for the very first time here in Heat 3. First one in, Steve Reynolds in the Gilmore Special as he bounces through some slop. Now Reynolds is slowing down. Something's wrong with the Gilmore, and the Tempest will take over on the inside just as they come to corner number 4 and starting down the back chute. Well, the Gilmore Special on the start, right there, going into the turn first. Something happened, and Gilmore is down, I believe.
He's in 2nd place right now, Jim, right in the rooster tail of Jack Schaefer and the Tempest, our leader as they go up this back stretch.
Well, let's see who is down in the pit area. down there off of
No
corner
one.
number
Reynolds
2.
lost his power, and as we go up here, if you look at the spray coming up behind them, that's Steve Reynolds in second place behind Jack Schaefer.
You got it. Thank you from your location. I couldn't see it from mine because of all the water. Thank you very much, Sam. As they come down here back toward me in corner number 3 and 4, it is the Tempest, and it's Jack Schaefer Jr. hanging it on the hook in lane number 1 with a beautiful rooster tail, and he started out the last time this way and almost, whoa, bounces through some slop there. Really has some sloppy water as he comes down to complete lap number 1 with Steve Reynolds. Going to give a chase right now from the outside. That's the Tempest. There is Steve Reynolds on the outside trying to catch him. We've got a tremendous battle for third place. 3 boats are side by side in third, while our leader is going down the corner number 1 for the second time. That's Jack Schaefer from Southern California in the Tempest. The boat is out of Seattle, and Jack Schaefer now holds about a 6-boat length lead over Steve Reynolds in the Gilmore. And again, in that same spot, the Gilmore Special seems to slow down, but now Steve's got it back on top on the apex. There's our difference between our first and second place boat. On the left is our leader, the Tempest. On the right, moving up fast, is the Gilmore Special. Sam, how about the first lap speed?
106.635 miles an hour as they go up the backstretch as Steve Reynolds closes in on Jack Schaefer, Jim.
Yes, if we get a little wider shot, you're going to see a real battle here. That is our second place boat. Now watch, there's the difference. On the inside, the boat on your right is the Gilmore Special, and he's going to right now pass the leader and take over first place as they come to corner number 3. That is it. It is the Gilmore Special with Steve Reynolds.
Jim, right now we have a lot of jockeying going on because the boat with the most points in this heat will advance to the final heat. Steve Reynolds, if he wins it, would be the boat, but he's all loaded up. A lot of problems coming from his engine as he fights it to keep it going.
And you saw right through our screen our new leader, again, is the Tempest regaining the lead. Something wrong with the carburation. He can't keep it going, so our first place boat is the Tempest there, going down toward corner number 1 for the 3rd time. The second place boat will be Louis 4-star. 3rd place are the Rick Gunite, and 4th is the Executone. And right now, down in the water, very hapless driver, Steve Reynolds, not too happy right now. All that loading up, he had the lead twice before he finally broke here on corner number 4. Our leaders now, as you can see to the left of our screen, really coming off of corner number 4 now to complete lap number 3 would be the Tempest. And starting up again to our left and in front of us, starting up again, giving chase is the Gilmore Special as Steve Reynolds has got it together again. I don't know if he can catch the field. Our leader, Jack Schaefer Jr. in the Tempest. And of course, having his problems today, Steve Reynolds, as he was leading, but he's having carburation problems in his Gilmore Special. Earlier today, Sam Cole had a chance to talk to Steve.
Your boat turned in its best performance of the year here in qualifying. Is that something to look forward to today?
Well, Sam, it gives us some encouragement. I mean, we've been plugging along pretty hard all year long, and Jim Gilmore and the spirit that he's lent to this team, I'm really pleased that the guys could put together a package to let me go out and qualify that fast. I think that our chances of doing very well in this race are better than they have been at any other race so far this year.
What about the fan plan? You're in the slow flight. Do you have a chance of winning that?
Oh, no question about it. The fan plan is designed to give everybody an equal opportunity or a good chance at winning this race and getting into the final heat. I have just as much chance as anybody else here.
We're getting close to the finish of this Heat 3, and our leader is Jack Schaefer Jr. in the Tempest.
Right now, I think Jack Schaefer should get the green flag, and if he can keep it together, win this heat, Jim.
He's going to get the checker flag.
That's right. He will advance to the final.
All right, here he comes. The checker flag is out for Jack Schaefer Jr. of Southern California and Chuck Hinckley's Tempest out of Seattle, and he is the winner. Run down the final field if you would, Sam.
Okay, our winner here, the Tempest, and Jack Schaefer Jr., he gets 200 points. Second place goes to Louis' 4-star special, driven by John Petty. He'll get 150 points. In third, it'll be the Rick Gunite Chevy with 113 points. And our 4th place boat, the Executone, driven by George Johnson. They'll get 85 points. Advancing to the final out of this group will be the Tempest, driven by Jack Schaefer with 313 points on the day.
And now, as our 3rd place finisher, Rick Gunite comes aboard. We'll be back with more action from Clear Lake, Texas after this timeout. Jim Hendrick along with Sam Cole here at heat number 4. Sam, we have quite a field.
Yes, we do, Jim. On the inside, it's the Atlas Van Lines and Chip Hanauer. Lane 2, Jim Kropfeld, the Miss Budweiser. Way in the back, Scott Pierce in the Budweiser Light. Lane 4, Ron Armstrong in the U80, and Ron Snyder in the U6 Rich Plan Food Service, Tom DeEath, and the Squire Shop.
5 seconds to go as they come up in the Atlas Van Lines, and maybe a little early on the inside. There it goes. As the field heads down to corner number 1, a roaring start of 6 of the fastest race boats in the world on the outside as they came across the starting line. Squire Shop with Tommy DeHeath had the lead. They're diving down now toward our pit area camera, and that'll be corner number 1 as they make their turn. Chip Hanauer on the inside of Atlas Van Lines holds it on the hook right there, but in his roost tail side by side, just buried a little bit back on the hip, is Miss Budweiser with Jim Kropfeld. As they come off the South Shore Harbor turn, coming down the back chute, Budweiser side by side. We've got a drag race off of that corner number 2, about 175 mile an hour. And now on the inside, it's Chip Hanauer flying a little bit light, Sam, on that front end, as he now takes the lead by about 4 boat lengths over the Budweiser, who has slowed down in slot number 2 and knows he just has to hang on and he can make the final. As they come off now of corner number 4, swinging just a little bit wide, Chip Hanauer, our national champion of 1982 and Gold Cup winner in the Atlas Van Lines. As he comes across, he has a 1, 2, 3 second lead over Budweiser. There's the Budweiser giving chase now in lane number 2 in second place. Third place is the U80 with Ron Armstrong. Fourth place, the Budweiser Light. The U80 is going dead down on the left of us, and a lot of smoke off that turbo.
Jim, but right now, Chip Hanauer, the national champion for 1982, has everything going his way in 08 Frisbee's Atlas Van Lines as he brings it out of turn 4. Chip on his way to a heat victory here. His first lap, 128.571 miles an hour. But Jim, that's about a mile an hour slower than Bill Muncie's World Championship record lap.
Well, as he comes down off that South Shore Harbor exit pin number 2, and look at that beautiful area. I never knew there were so many boats this part of Texas.
I didn't either, Jim. You know, they have something like 1,500 boats here on this lake, and that's going to be one heck of a complex over there. Marinas, office buildings, and everything else.
Jim Hickman was telling me, the general manager of that new community, they're going to have room for 2,500 boats. That's quite a marina. Right now, our second place boat is the Budweiser. And here's our first place leader coming around the complete lap number 2. The Squire Shop is right in front of us. Driver Tommy DeHeath is out of the boat waving his hands. You should see him as the Atlas Van Lines goes by. Well, our shot was a little tight. We could not see him, but there's our leader. Here comes the Budweiser off of corner number 2, our second place boat. As our leader goes down to corner number 1, Kropfeld gives a wave to Tommy DeHeath. Tommy DeHeath in the Squire Shop having troubles today. Broke a gearbox earlier, and now his boat is floating right out in front of the starting line, right on the course. He's standing up to make sure all the drivers can see him. He's right in front of our deer.
Chip Hanauer, second lap there, 117.647 miles an hour.
We're getting a lot of smoke coming off the turbo of the U80 Patterson Special. And it's not fog, that is smoke off of one of the turbos. Out there now currently running in third place is Ron Snyder in the Rich Plan Miss Madison. You had a chance, Sam, to talk to Ron Snyder earlier today.
Most drivers in the pits drive for one owner. You've got 14,000 of them. How do you keep them all happy, Ron?
Oh, it's easy. You know, it's a good town in Madison, Indiana, and really go out and do the best you can and bring her back and put her on the trailer the way you took it off, and that makes all 14,000 of them happy.
We've got a volunteer crew, a volunteer driver. However, you guys always seem to be there when the money's on the line. Are you going to be there today?
Well, I think so. You know, the crew's been working awful hard, and as you know, I stayed out here after the San Diego race for an extra week, and I got my 2 cents in on this thing using them super wrenches in San Diego, and we think we got all of our problems dialed out of it now, and this morning we went out, and everything seems to be working okay, so we're ready for race time.
How about this course? You've got 1,000 feet from the exit pin to the starting line. We've had some problems when we have tight starts like that, but I know Ron Snyder grew up racing on tight rivers, so is that going to be an advantage to you?
I'm sure it's like that's like the Dayton course down there. You know how tight that was. We couldn't even get a 2-mile course out of that thing. And, no, I don't see any problem on it. We're all a bunch of drivers out there, use our heads, and it's tight. I don't think it's a little tighter than Detroit is up there, but everybody got around that thing okay, so I think we're just going to put on one heck of a show here today.
words of course, a driver who has been with us for quite a while, Ron Snyder, is our leader now, comes down the corner number 3, and he'll come around to take the checker flag. That's the Atlas Van Line. Sam?
That's right. You know, I got to believe back on lap 2, Jim Crumpfeld showed Chip Hanauer that Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser has something special in the engine box, but everybody here wanted to save everything to get into that final heat.
Here comes the checker flag. Here's your winner of heat number 4, and he'll qualify for the final field. Atlas Van Lines, and now coming off of corner number 4, as we look to our left, our second place boat, the Miss Budweiser, Jim Cropfield, comes right by us. And he'll also, there he is, he'll qualify for the final. Sam, how about the rundown of the finish of this heat and who will qualify for the championship run?
Okay, our winner, Atlas Van Lines and Chip Hanauer, they get 400 points. Second place goes to the Miss Budweiser, Jim Cropfeld, with 300 points. Third place will be the U80, the Bob Patterson Special, with 225 points. In fourth, it'll be the Budweiser Light, Scott Pierce, with 169. And did not finishing were the Richland Food Service and Squire Shop. Now, moving to the final heat, based on points, will be 4 boats. They will be the Atlas Van Lines, the Miss Budweiser, the Budweiser Light, and the U80, Bob Patterson's boat. They'll be joined by the Tempest and the winner of our next heat of racing coming up here on ESPN.
The 1982 college basketball season at its best on ESPN. Besides the defending national champs North Carolina Tar Heels, see the fellow ACC powerhouse Virginia, Kentucky, DePaul, Georgetown, UCLA, and other fine teams from across the country. ESPN will take you through the season showcasing the best collegiate talent in the nation, from the Hall of Fame game through the NCAA regional playoffs. Your total sports network scores again with the greatest college basketball ever. We'll be back with more on the Budweiser World Championship after this. Jim Hendrick along with Sam Cole. The other boats of this Consolation could not answer because of the attrition. These 2 boats will have a runoff now. The winner will advance to the final for the better share of $125,000. Rick Gunite with Terry Turner on the inside. On the outside, Louis 4-star special with John Petty. Here they come. Well, Sam, this makes it really kind of like a shootout.
That's right. It's nothing but a drag race, and John Petty in the Louis 4-star Special has our lead as they dive into the first turn. That's the oldest boat running here in this World Championship race today. But on the inside, coming up fast, is Terry Turner in the Rick Gunite Special, and that's the only automotive-powered boat here we have today. So we've got quite an interesting race going on here as John Petty brings the Louis 4-star Special out of the first turn in the lead.
And it's going to be a drag race off of corner number 4 down by the South Shore Harbor exit pin as they come down the back chute. On the outside it is Louis on the Lake with John Petty from Madison, Indiana. Terry Turner from Southern California in the automotive-powered Rick Gunite as they come down. Now it's about a 4-boat length lead, and the winner, of course, advances up with the big boys for the final run for the checker flag and the top money. The chief referee is Lee Shanahan. He's high above us right now, and he has a staff that's on duty. You know, we know what they do in football, the referees. We know what they do in basketball. We know what the umpire's job is in baseball. And we just want to know, as we ask Chief Referee Lee Shanahan about his job and what kind of power he does have.
Well, Jim, on race day, the referee has all the power he wants. I can control a race any way I want, explain to the drivers, like I did at the drivers' meeting, where to start, how to start, and then from then on, if they jump the gun, I can assess penalties up to a lap, qualifying, or if they go in a turn and cut each other off, we can beach them, we can fine them up to $500. We have a lot of power, and we like it that way because the drivers understand it. And that way, I think they're a little more cautious. Now, I have referees' assistants in each turn. I have one in a helicopter. I have one by me on the judges' stand, another one down here in the pits. And surprisingly, these guys all cooperate very well and do an excellent job. They're real pros, Jim.
From Madison, Indiana, here is Mr. John Petty. We thank Lee Shanahan for taking time out to describe the officiating duties of his staff. And right now, as a checker flag is ready, here comes John Petty in the Louis 4-star Special. Louis on the Lake 4-star Special. And Sam, he advances to the final by winning this Consolation runoff.
Right you are, John Petty in the Louis 4-star Special, our winner of the Consolation heat. Second place will go to the Rick Gunite Special.
Now run down, if you will, Sam, our final field set for the championship run.
We'll have 6 boats vying for the lion's share of $125,000. In that field will be the Miss Budweiser, driven by Jim Cropfeld. The Atlas Van Lines, driven by Chip Hanauer. The Budweiser Light and Scott Pierce. the Bob Patterson Special, and Ron Armstrong, the Tempest, Jack Schaefer Jr., and Louis' 4-star Special.
And we'll have that exciting starting gun to checker flag description right here on your Total Sports Network, ESPN after this. Jim Hendrick, along with Sam Cole. Here at Clear Lake, Texas, our ESPN cameras are ready to capture the World Championship Budweiser World Cup. $125,000 up for grabs, Sam's. Here comes the fleet.
Here you see John Petty in the Louis 4-star Special heading up to the turn with about 30 seconds to go before the start of this race. Coming up on the inside, Jim Kropfeld, the Miss Budweiser. Also in there, Ron Armstrong and Bob Patterson Special. Also in the field, the U00, the Atlas Van Lines, Chip Hanauer. The U30, Budweiser Light with Scott Pierce. The U17, Tempest, Jack Schaefer Jr. 6 boats on the course, running for all the marbles here, Jim Hendrick.
And less than 10 seconds to go. Budweiser scoots. Whoa, look at Budweiser. Kropfeld took it from left to right, wants lane number 1 as they come down. 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Here comes the Atlas Van Lines and the Budweiser Light. They're all flying, the U80, and it's a great start. It's Budweiser on top by half a boat length as they come by, and it's going to be a side-by-side battle down to that first corner. The blue boat, the Atlas Van Lines, the red one, the Miss Budweiser, and as they come down to corner number 1, it's anybody's guess, Sam.
That's right, it is Jim. Rookie Jim Kropfeld on the inside, and Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser coming up on the outside. Chip Hanauer, a 27-year-old bachelor out of Seattle, Washington, who earlier today clinched the National High Point Championship. He's in second place, and as they come out of that turn, it's Jim Kropfeld and Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser.
I think I heard a burble in the Atlas Van Lines engine. Sounded like it was going a little rough, and now Jim Kropfeld shakes it loose down off the South Shore Harbor cutoff as he comes off of corner number 2. Down the back chute, and Kropfeld gets a little light on his right sponson. He puts up a beautiful rooster tail on a beautifully clear day here at Clear Lake.
That's right, Jim Kropfeld, a 42-year-old rookie out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Here's Chip Hanauer in the Atlas Van Lines. He's not running as well as he was earlier today, but everything seems to be going right. And Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser as Kropfeld brings it out of turn 4 and heads down for the home stretch.
Bernie Little and the Miss Budweiser racing team, the defending world champions after taking this event in Acapulco, Mexico last year, and the completion of lap number 1. Sam, it's going to be close. The Atlas Van Lines are still giving chase. I believe that might be the best time of the year on that speed.
That's going to be a very fast speed. There's about a 3-second lead right now as Hanauer chases after Kropfeld into the turn. The speed, 135.338 miles an hour. That's a new world record in World Championship competition, and that's also the fastest lap turned here in Texas this week. 135.338 by Jim Kropfeld.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that might be the fastest lap in competition of 1982.
I believe it is. We'll have to check the books on that. It sure looks like it, but right now Bernie Little's boat has got everything going its way.
And he can repeat as the world champion as the Budweiser coming down the back chute in lap number 2. Pretty much his own way, about a 6-second lead. Looking very light on the front end is Chip Hanauer of the Atlas Van Lines. He looks like he's flying down that back chute.
He seems to be flying the boat rather well, but Kropfeld, the Budweiser people, have everything working their way. They had their share of problems in San Diego when Kropfeld got the ride just 3 weeks ago. They came out here. They changed their engines around. They qualified at 131 plus miles an hour. They won an earlier heat here today, but right now, Jim Kropfeld has everything his way, and it's got to be a good feeling for a rookie from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Looks like he slowed down a little bit, Sam. What was the lap speed on number 2?
122.783. Meanwhile, Chip Hanauer on this lap has upped his speed. His speed that lap was 123.288 miles an hour, so he's cutting the gap on Kropfeld about a second there.
With less than 4 laps to go, it's about a 4-second lead for the Miss Budweiser. The Bud Light currently now riding in 3rd place with Scott Pierce.
That's the 1981 co-rookie of the year, Scott Pierce and John Still's Budweiser Light. He's sitting back there at about 116 miles an hour. But here's our leader, Jim Kropfeld, in the Miss Budweiser. This is a Rolls-Royce Griffon-powered hydroplane, headquartered out of Seattle, Washington. The owner, Bernie Little, from Lakeland, Florida. Last weekend, Bernie completed a sweep in offshore racing, and he's after everything here for the World Championship and unlimited racing here today.
The Budweiser looking very good. In fact, the best has looked in the last 7 races. Coming down the back chute, giving chase now is the Atlas Van Lines. Still riding a little light is Chip Hanauer. Back to our leader as he goes into corners number 3 and 4. He'll come down to complete lap number 3, and there'll be 2 more laps to go. Just 5 miles to go, and the World Championship will be this young man man from Cincinnati, Ohio. His name, Jim Cropfield, is a rookie. It's his second race in his career for Unlimited.
And you know, the last lap, we talked about the fact that Hanauer had whittled down on Cropfeld's lead. As we see him here, Cropfeld back in at 126.582. He picked up 2 more seconds on Hanauer on that lap.
So the Budweiser leads. Atlas Van Line is second. The Bud Light is third. Right now, I understand the Tempest is fourth. Louis on the Lake fifth. And we have a problem, I understand, with U80. The Patterson boat is down in the water and out of this race. There's our leader right now, coming off the apex of corner number 2. Down the South Shore Harbor exit as he comes down the back chute to complete lap number 4. This time, he'll get the green flag, and he flies a little late. Look at him, a little late on that right end.
This would be a very good ending for Jim Cropfeld for this year. He came into the sport, finished down in the lower half of the field out in San Diego, but he came on strong here today. Last year, he was the world champion in Grand Prix racing, a class right underneath Unlimiteds, but it looks like he's putting all that education to work here as Chip Hanauer chases after him.
All right now as they coming down, it is going to be the Budweiser followed by the Atlas Van Lines, and the boat just went by. Louis on the Lake is about to be lapped. They've just also lapped the Tempest, so those two boats running very slowly, but our leaders now have 1 lap to go, and it's less than 2.5 miles, and the World Championship can belong to this young man from Cincinnati, Ohio, Jim Cropfield. And here's Chip Hanauer, doggedly watching his prey. He's experienced. He's got about 5 victories this year already.
That's right, Jim. You know, he slowed down quite a bit. It's like he says the race is over. Budweiser and Cropfeld turned lap 4 at 125.874 miles an hour. Hanauer and Atlas Van Line slowed way down to 112.923. So right now, as Jim Cropfeld goes here on his last lap, it looks like he's on his way to the bank.
As we look into the sunlight here at Clear Lake, south of Houston, Texas, coming off of corner number 2, coming down the back chute with about 3/4 of a lap to go. It is going to be the Miss Budweiser on the way. This boat currently is running in 5th slot. Make that 4th slot, and that is Louis on the Lake special. And now look at here. Here's our Budweiser. He's coming down the back chute. He has less than a half a lap to go. He's slowing down. Sam, the Budweiser with the checker flag out is slowing down. Something's wrong.
Okay, as we look down the course, as Cropfeld slows down, Jim, he's only 900 feet from the finish line. Hanauer's just coming out of turn 3 in the Atlas Van Lines, but Jim Cropfeld just got to be the sorriest man in Clear Lake right now as he brings the Miss Budweiser down. He's trying to run it on the prime, Jim. Let's not get distracted with the Louis on the Lake here because it's in 4th place. Right now, all the attention's on Cropfeld as he tries to get the Miss Budweiser across the line. Hanauer's heading into that turn, Jim Hendricks.
600 feet to go. The checker flag is waiting. You know that Chip Hanauer has spotted the Budweiser in trouble. He's going to come on, and if he don't get the Budweiser started, Cropfield will have to lose, and the winner is going to be the Atlas Van Lines. I can't believe it. What a boat race. The Atlas Van Lines with Chip Hanauer. What a break. You know that this sport a little bit depends on luck, but this young man has now made a complete sweep. He's the world champion, the national champion, and he's also, of course, the Gold Cup champion.
That's right. You know, he had to know he won that race just as he came out of that exit pin on the final lap. He had settled back, looked content to finish second, came out of that turn, saw Cropfeld sitting there, and I think Chip Hanauer is just as surprised as we were as he came down there to take the checkered flag and win the World Championship, the 5th for Atlas Van Lines since they entered this sport.
And what a disappointment for Jim Cropfield, the Budweiser Bernie little team. They've had a disastrous season. They could have wrapped it up on a high note if they could have just maintained some power, whatever happened in that engine, with about 600 feet to go. And right now our 5th place boat is trying to come around and finish. That's Jack Shaver Jr. with the Tempest. Sam, let's give us the final order of finish.
Our winner, Atlas Van Lines and Chip Hanauer, the 1982 national and world champion in unlimited hydroplane racing. Second place will go to the Budweiser Light, driven by Scott Pierce out of Seattle, Washington. In third, it's the Miss Budweiser and Jim Cropfeld. Fourth place will go to Louis on the Lake, driven by John Petty out of Madison, Indiana. Fifth place, the Tempest and Jack Schaefer Jr. And our 6th place finisher will be Bob Patterson's U80, driven by Ron Armstrong.
Our winning driver has got his hand up in victory, going back to his own pits. We'll have him to our ESPN microphones and our cameras in just a moment. I'll be very interested to find out when he spotted the Budweiser down and knew he had a chance to win at the very last moment. And we'll have that interview, and we'll wrap it up after this timeout. Back here at Clear Lake, Texas, the world champion of 1982 is this man right here, the driver of the Atlas Van Lines boat, Chip Hanauer. Chip, you've won it all.
Yeah, it's been an unbelievable year for Atlas Van Lines.
I can't believe the thrilling battle. 900 feet to go. The Budweiser we hear now had lost the throttle cable. The linkage went. He couldn't get any gas to the engine. When did you notice he had a problem?
About 3/4 of the way up the back chute, I looked across and started counting boats to see if Budweiser had made it, and I couldn't find everybody but him, so I knew he was down somewhere, and I just scrambled to the line.
Sam Coe, you're standing with a very happy sponsor, the chairman of the board of Atlas Van Lines OH Frisbee.
That's right, OH, after this victory, you're now the winningest sponsor in Thunderboat history, a triple crown this year. That's many accomplishments since last December when you decided to stay in this sport.
Yes, this is our 15th year, and this has to be, in spite of all the great years we've had, the greatest year in the history of Atlas Van Line racing program. We're so happy to be down here and win this first race in Houston, where we have so many friends, and our agents worldwide are listening in. All over the United States and in Europe, I understand, is listening to this race, and we're just thrilled to death. This has been the greatest year we've ever had, with one of the nicest and the finest drivers in the history, and the winningest driver now in the history is powerboat racing, I believe. And we're just on top of the world.
I'm sure you are. OH Frisbee, the chairman of the board of Atlas Van Lines, the driver, the winner of Chip Hanauer. On behalf of Sam Cole, I'm Jim Hendrick. Of course, there's more action all year on your Total Sports Network, ESPN. This has been one of them. So long.